Welcome to the Daily Dish with Leanne Ely. This is a show about you, your life, and the vibrancy you want. Join us for daily motivation, wise women's tips, and more as we collectively gather together and move the needle in our lives, heart, mind, body, and soul. Now, here is your host, Leanne Ely, and the Daily Dish.
Nancy's in the house. She just let us know. Yay, Nancy. I'm so glad you're here. Mimi, I'm glad you're here. Jocelyn, Noreen, Jennifer. Here come my girls. Doris is here. Yay. Francesca. Silent outside with frozen roads. Oh my goodness. Yeah, everybody's getting hit. So all of y'all who are in the path of this storm, please stay safe. I hope you're prepared and ready to go. That's my hope and prayer for you. I see Jackie and Helen and Marguerite. Christine is in the house. Hi, Jane. So good to have you here. Here's our quote of the week. Care about people's approval? Not you, right? And you'll be their prisoner. Vanessa, Jeanette, Diane. Y'all know this is true, right? Y'all know this. Oh, it's 80 in Florida. I swear I'm going to Florida. Martha, hello. I'm so glad you're here. Jama, you too. We got a really interesting show for you today that I'm excited to share this with you because I've heard about this book for a long time. I've not yet read it, but I've heard about this book for a long time that I'm going to be sharing a little bit with you on. I now have to order it and read it. You know that, right? It's written in 1974. That's all I'm going to tell you right now. Hello, Terry, Alice, and Lucy. Do you have the Target Trifecta smoothie? Do you have to do the Target Trifecta smoothie and dinner in that order? Nope, you don't. Jennifer, I do the same thing. So just FYI, this is what my new thing has been. I've been breaking my fast with a little omelet. Now I won't have any Parmesan cheese, obviously, in it when it's time, just simply because I take a lot of supplements. You know, I've admitted to that. When you break your fast, you break your fast. So I've been doing, and I did this already at around 10 o'clock. I got hungry. I had a little omelet, and then I'm going to move on over. It's, guess what's for lunch? Yeah, my smoothie and all my supplements. It just seems to sit better. I like it better. I feel the effects of it more. And, I've been enjoying it. Hey, look who's here. Lily just popped in from all the way from Colorado. I'm glad you're here. So today, yesterday was Groundhog Day, and I didn't talk about it. You know, it's one of my big illustrations that I use all the time in our, the discussion of we don't want to be living our lives on Groundhog Day. How could I forget it? Do you know, here in Brevard, where I live, Brevard, North Carolina, it's a little mountain community right here in the mountains. It's lovely. And we live on a little mountain lake, and I just have this little sweet community. Anyway, we have, there's Puxatawny Phil in Puxatawny, Pennsylvania, looking at his shadow. And of course, he disappointed everyone. Well, I have to tell you that Pisgah Penny, who is the white squirrel of this area, because we have white squirrels. They're not albinos. They're actual white squirrels. There's a difference, by the way, between the breed and the mutation, right? So anyway, just interesting because Pisgah Penny saw her shadow. So we're happy about that, aren't we? Super happy about that. Or whatever it is. She didn't see it or she did see it. Whatever. We're not going to have an endless winter. I'll go with that. How about that? Hi, Gracie. Anyway, I'm excited. I'm excited about spring, and we're probably looking at Woodstock Willie. How come we have all these people? I mean, we have all these critters coming out to make their prediction. Oh, by the way, Puxatawny Phil, he's only right a third of the time. So I say Puxatawny needs to just be retired. Sorry, anybody who's from that area. This is our supplement of the week. You can find it at savingdinner.com/show. I've gone over and over and over all week long. I've been raving about this thing because I take it myself. I do two things that really help with cravings. One is I take Crave Pressures because Crave Pressure lasts all day long. Yes, you take 4 of them, and yes, you take them all at one time. And believe me, trust me, you'll be happy about that. But secondarily, I also use L-glutamine, straight L-glutamine, right out of the jar in a little dish, and I put it on my finger like so, gums, tongue, because it cuts off immediately the craving center to the brain. Okay, you can't say no to that. Hey, Corliss, I'm glad you're here. So those are 2 things that you can do. So check it out at savingdinner.com/show. We will, by the way, I'm just saying this, so be patient with us if we haven't done it, but we will go ahead and we will send all week long special groundhog recipes, ground beef recipes in honor of Groundhog Day. So if you've bought anything from us this week, just watch your email. We'll send it to you. I forgot to tell you all about it. And then we were going to do it yesterday. And now I'm saying, because I blew it, we're going to do it all this week. What do you think of that idea? Yes, the white squirrels are beautiful. Hi, Kathy. They are beautiful. And we had some on our property playing around. It was just wonderful. My daughter saw them finally across the lake. And, you don't believe it until you finally see it. You think it's just, it's like a unicorn. But here they are. Here they are. Alrighty, so what else do I have to tell you about today? What else? Oh, Lincoln's birthday's on Saturday. I know you're probably going, so what? Your dog's turning 1. Yeah, it's a big deal. Are you kidding? Being dog parents is a big deal. All 95 pounds of that puppy is turning 1 year old, and he is the sweetest thing, and I love him to death, and you know that. We have a little something special for those of you who are on our text message list. And our lovely Lindsay made a video for anybody who's having an issue getting double opted in. When they say double opted, it means that you need to send that phone number. This is the phone number, 855-960-3720. You do that on your message app. And then on the message part, you put the word join, all in caps, and then you hit press send. A new message will come back and it will say, do you want to opt into this whole thing? And then you send back Y or an N. It'll tell you exactly what to do. And then you're in. You should be anyway. If you have any issues, send us an email to support@savingdinner.com and we will handle it for you. We'll help you get opted in. Don't want to miss Lincoln's birthday. As a matter of fact, did you see the cute little picture of him in the newsletter? I'll tell you, Amber is on her game when it comes to our little graphics and everything. So super cute. There you go. What else? Angie's here. Beth is here. I'm so glad you are both here. Inner Circle is open right now. You can still get a seat in Inner Circle. We have a few seats left. Everything that you need to know is on this page, savingdinner.com/circle. Circle. Okay. That's where all the information is. And you'll know if this is right for you. Believe me, you'll feel it in your gut. You'll feel it in your gut. Tomorrow's Q&A. If you're going to be here, great. Come listen. We've got quite a few questions. If you want to submit a question, send them into support@savingdinner.com. Question for Leanne on Friday. I will take care of it for you. And that's all I have for you today. Oh, who is in for the sprint on Monday? We're doing a special thing in a pajama party for those of you who are going to be in the sprint that's starting this next Monday. I'm excited about it because we're going to go all in, baby. All in. I love all in. All in's fun. It's so much easier. There's no second guessing. There's no mental fatigue that comes with that. I feel like I have show and tell going on here, but I have nothing to show you, but I feel like I should be showing you something. Look at everybody who says they're in. I love it. Marguerite's in. Yes, yes, yes. Jennifer, I'm so glad to see that. It's really going to be fun because I've asked people, and I'm going to ask you for a commitment to just put day 1, day 2, etc. Maybe a selfie if you can handle it. If you can't, whatever. Or take a picture of your soup bowl. I don't care. The point is to show up every day in the Hot Milk Sprint group on Facebook and say, day 1, here I am. Day 2, here I am. It's just an accountability thing. It's to keep the sprint top of mind. So for those next 7 days, you can crush this thing. There's just nothing like that feeling of accomplishment at the end when you've really done it and you've taken it all away, right? Yes. Look at all these people who are in. I love this so much. Let's get into the material today because I thought it completely fascinating and interesting thing about, getting stuff done. And this whole week has been this, not that. And this whole week we've been contrasting this one thing over here versus this one thing over there and seeing how do we pull this stuff together so that how do we become the person over here that we want to become? How do we stop this middle stuff? Because, this is what it is. It's the gap, right? You've got the starting place over here. Then there's the gap, which is just huge, and it needs a bridge to go across. And then there's the goal over here of what it is that you want. And, it's like this. And tell me tell me that you understand what I'm talking about. You can't unsee what it is that you want or your goal. You can dismiss it. You can pretend it doesn't exist. You can give all the reasons in the why and the rationalizations and what have you, but you'll never be satisfied until you get on top of what Timothy Galloway calls the inner game. In 1974, Random House published this book called The Inner Game of Tennis by Timothy Galloway. And the whole idea of this, 1974, y'all, it's still a bestseller all these years later. But this book went on to influence dozens of coaches who then turned around and gifted it to their players. It went on to not only work with some of the most famous tennis players you've ever heard, Jimmy Connors, etc., all in the name of getting a better tennis game, but it also made its way into other sports and to other coaches so that they could help their players become better. Not just that, but political circles as well. Al Gore used this book when he was running for president, I think in 1984, was it? I think. Anyway, when he ran for his staff, to keep his staff right on top of their game. Itzhak Perlman, Itzhak Perlman, why can't I say his name? Very famous violinist, gifted this book as well to aspiring violinists. Because, and you take a look at all of these are people who've all risen in the ranks. They've all risen into and become what we would consider elite players or elite top of the whole thing type of folks. That's exactly, athlete, politician. They used it. There were even directors giving it to actors. It was just so intense. Well, in 2006, Lawrence Jackson, who was a defensive end at the time for USC, went back to school after he had an amazing sophomore year, and was getting all kinds of NFL, hinties, like maybe you should be thinking about just leaving college early and going on. They called him LoJack because he was defensive end. He sacked the quarterback. He was known for sacking the quarterback. Well, he went back his junior year expecting to have a great year, and he just sucked, right? He was horrible. And he went from being LoJack into no sack is what they did. You know how that is. But people are so, they turn on you in a dime, don't they? But so he went and saw his coach, Pete Carroll, who was the USC football coach at the time. And he said, "Coach, help me out. What am I going to do here?" And the coach gave him a copy of this book. He read it. He absorbed it. He read it in one pass, and he kept going back to this one particular chapter. We'll kind of go on to that. To earn back his previous LoJack title. And that by the time his senior year came, he was back and got drafted by the NFL and the Seattle Mariners, Seahawks, picked him up in the first round of the NFL draft. Now, I'm no football fan. You all know that. I'm just not. And I also, but I love sports and analogies, and I love the minds of athletes because the minds of athletes are different than the minds of us regular folks. They think of things differently. So I'm curious. I love the curiosity though of this idea of performance. How do I do it better? How do I get my mind around that so I can, even though I'm already an A player, how do I excel more? How do I get that edge? How do I become a Tiger Woods or a Michael Jordan kind of a thing? That's what these guys are all seeking to do. And, you know, this is applicable, believe me, for all of us. Beth is asking for the author. The author's name is, okay, and you're asking for the name of the book. The name of the book is The Inner Game of Tennis by Timothy Gallwey, Gallwey. Okay, you can find it, you know, on Amazon, of course. So anyway, the thing that I like about this is any way that we can understand, you know, what the inner game is about and implement as well. This is what self-mastery is getting into the inner game, not just the outer game, but also being into the inner game. And again, you know, we look at these standouts, right? We look at all these standouts. We talk about Diana Nyadding it all the time. These are people who have stood out and away from all the other A players. They are A++ players or athletes. And why? What was their whole thing? Their outer game was excellent. Their outer game was probably superior. Their outer game outlined everything that they knew and expertly deployed, right? It shows the whole world that they were able to master these principles of, you know, diving off a 100-foot board or however high those high diver boards are. I don't know. It looks like 100 feet to me. I know it's not, but scary, right? You see all of it. We see the excellence in their performance, and we have the Olympics coming up, right? We have the Olympics coming up where we're going to watch more excellence. And this is not a, you know, when we see them get on the ice and skate, and we see them skiing or playing tennis or whatever, this is the accumulation of hours and hours and hours. But the edge that all of these athletes possess is the inner game. It's the inner game. And that's, I'm raising that specter to all of us because we are the type of women who we will get a diet book. We will immediately, scan through, and the diet book will be this thick, by the way. And we will immediately scan through and look for the plan. Chapter 4, there's the plan. Okay, boom, chapter 4. Okay, got it. Okay, grocery shop, get it, go. And, you know, it's just one more thing to hit the heap, right? And the reason why, that's the outer plan. And the rest of the book is usually filled with the inner plan stuff. A lot of it is anyway. So I say that to you. And the reason that I say that to you and the reason that this is important is because we don't look at the inner game the way we need to so that we can start supporting ourselves, heart, mind, body, and soul, to get the results that we want in our lives. It's not about the plan. It's not about the this, that, or the other thing. It's about the execution of said plan and staying with it and becoming a part of it. That's why we always say it's heart, mind, body, and soul. You cannot divorce yourself from one of those parts of you because that's who you are. You're the complete package. And when we take our complete package to the finish line, we end up actually finishing instead of sitting on the couch and letting it all go by. So we know about this, you know, we know about all of this competitive edge that they're looking for. And the reason this is the same reason why we sit on the couch. This is the reason why everything goes wrong. It's the inner game. And you go from being, you know, a low jack to no sack, but you can come back again to low jack if only you stopped sitting on the couch and thinking it's hopeless and I can't control any of this. And you, even though you've said and made a declaration, this is my goal, and you're watching Netflix and eating ice cream, defeating yourself right there at the purpose. It's because your inner game isn't sharpened. So we know this, that a lot can go wrong between, it's basically the chain of command, isn't it? Between your brain and your doing and yourself and your body. It's interesting because I I do it too. I mean, I talk myself out of it. Well, I got to do this. And well, maybe I'll get back to that later. I'll do it this afternoon. I'll start Monday. You know, the whole thing. But so Galway, in his book, he calls the body self 2. He calls the mind self 1. Interesting. Remember how last week we were talking about the amygdala and naming your amygdala? I think it's the same kind of a deal. He's just started this back, 40 years ago. So self 1 instructs self 2 to act, doesn't it? Of course. Your brain is always going to tell your body what to do. There's a whole interaction involved. But here's the whole thing. The problem is that self 1 tries to sell self 2 on doing something she already knows how to do. And then what happens is, instead of just doing it, there's this whole thing that happens of overthinking it and saying, do I want to, or do I not want to do this? Or is, I'll do it later. And there's this whole conversation that happens in your head that brings all of your good intentions crashing down. That's your inner game. That's just going to pot. The outer game already knows what to do, right? You already know what to do. But here's the deal. This is the part in the book where that Jackson, the defensive end, the one who was called LoJack, right? This is where he came coming back to the book and reading this one particular chapter. And it was the chapter when a cat is trying to catch a bird. And in it, Galway goes through and gives a lot of detail, which I'm not going to give you right now, but you can certainly get the idea of what the whole thing is about. So, and think about this. You've seen when in people, you all who have cats, you've seen this, where a cat will see, I used to have a cat that I loved. His name was Taffy. He would see a squirrel or a bird or something outside. He'd sit at the window and the end of his little tail would twitch and twitch and twitch. And then he'd look and he'd get up and like he was going to pounce on it. And he'd start this. He had this weird, and I know that you cat people know what this, he'd go, I can't even make this, his kitty cat noise, but he was like ready to go get him. And if you've ever seen a cat actually catch and get a bird, it's extraordinary, because you can see the intense concentration on the cat's face and the intense concentration, well, not the intense concentration on the cat, on the bird's face, but the bird is just suddenly aware that there's something, going on and tries to fly away. Well, that cat will leap into the air. It can only, like cats do, grab the bird. Mission accomplished. And that's what predators do. And unfortunately, that's what happens. That is the circle of life, my friends. But the cat's leap in the air is pointed, it's exact, and he rarely misses, unless he's a little too late. But the execution is flawless, and he catches his prey. So, and think about this. This is what a cat does with a bird. And when he's done, when he's caught that, little birdie, he doesn't go down and start, a victory dance down in the end zone, or, start high-fiving and all of that. The reward is the bird. Doesn't need the audience kudos and cheers and saying, "Hey, LoJack." Nope. Just wants that bird. And that was part of the whole lesson. You want it. You want it. You have your eyes on it, and there's no nonsense. It's let's go after it. So you remember, Mel Robbins, she had the book, what was it? Oh, I can't remember. The 5-second rule was what it was. And it was a brilliant rule, but it was basically, same kind of idea from this kind of stuff, which was just a countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Get out of bed. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. Go put your laundry away. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go exercise. It was just stop thinking about it. Stop negotiating with yourself. Stop all this inner nonsense and just go for the jugular of what it is. You want to catch that bird. Just like that cat, you want to catch it. So, these are the kind of things that we need to hear, this kind of stuff, because We wonder why we can't get our butts up off the couch. We wonder why we can't get ourselves going to the place of just getting it done, you know? Um, this is the thing that, this is what the inner game utilizes as well, sort of a countdown clock in your head. And also, believe it or not, and this is in the book, not to be bored about the whole thing. And I think we bore ourselves to death with all of our back and forth and excuses. I do. I think we just like say, just shut up. And that, I believe, is why the towel gets thrown in and we just say, I'm just going to have to put up with this. I'm just not going to do this. This is just a ridiculous goal. It's obviously not for me. We give up because of that inner game not being mastered. It's not because of the plan. It's not because we don't have the time. It's because the inner stuff hasn't been worked on the same way that the outer stuff has been working on. So the outer stuff is simple. Think about it this way. Think about how simple the outer stuff really is. And it is. It's simple. It's straightforward with anything. If I were to ask you and say, give me your advice about losing weight. If I were to ask you that, and of course I would want to hear that from people who'd actually done it, what would your advice be? What would your advice be? If I were to ask you about decluttering a house, what advice would you have for me on that? Train for a marathon, meal planning. Every single one of you could offer a piece of advice that would help me to become a better meal planner, a better runner, better at decluttering my house, and better at, losing some weight. Every single one of you could give me something, tell me how to start, who to look for to help, what equipment I would need, what tools I would need to start a grocery list. You would have a list of things that I would need to do, wouldn't you? Of course you would. Because each one of us knows a little bit about something. You might not be an expert on meal planning or weight loss or how to run a marathon, but each one of you would know where to start, at least how to get started. So this is the actual doing part, is the part where we stumble, and that's the inner game. And it requires a whole nother level. It requires discipline. It requires shutting down the inner voice that likes to tell us, no, you can't do that. It's having a sense of order and a sense of procedure on how to do it. And it's all encompassing because it's not just the thing, it's all the things. You don't just take your body into the gym and work out. Everything goes with you, right? Heart, mind, body, and soul. That's why we have this in our little moniker, our little thingy. We have it like that. Do you know why? Because for me, this was an aha moment when I realized the reason I couldn't lose weight and keep it off was because I was trying to divorce myself from the rest of my life. It's an all-encompassing thing. It's all the things. It's heart, it's mind, it's body, it's soul. And every single person who's had success in any of these arenas, whether they're athletes, whether they're weight loss folks, or weekend warriors athletes, every single one of them will tell you it's heart, mind, body, and soul. So while it might be difficult to align all of these things, it isn't impossible. Michael Matthews, who wrote a book called Thinner, Leaner, Stronger for Women, some book, I read it a while ago. I mean, it's decent and what have you, but he had something in there that I thought was so funny. And he said that, the reason it can be done, but it's like trying to shave your legs with an axe. It's sharp, it's big, it's cumbersome, but until you get your mind around what needs to happen and how you need to go about it and scheduling it and getting your inner game down, it's going to be for a while there, like trying to shave your legs with an axe. So I like to call it the slippery slope, because I feel like that's how we fall down. We lose our momentum and then everything goes to hell in a handbasket. Excuses and rationalizations galore. There is a whole conversation going on in your head And, it might be a short, brief one, or it might be long. It might be protracted. It's exhausting though. It's completely exhausting. Here's some of the things you might say. You know what? Ugh, I can't believe it. Look at today. It's already 1:30. Maybe tomorrow I'll get started tomorrow. Well, burp, it was a great meal. It was celebratory. It was celebratory. Well, yeah, so was Saturday night. I know. But, we do like to go out. We go out to dinner a few times a week, and I really enjoy going out. It's one of my favorite things to do. Um, and I'm not going to beat myself up. I'm just going to go ahead and go forward from here. And then a year later, they're still doing the same thing, having these same conversations. Nothing's changed because the inner game has not been improved upon, even if more diet books have been purchased, more gurus have been accumulated, right? More crazy diet supplements and more exercise equipment to hang clothes on, and on and on and on the list goes. So what do we do? Once we lose momentum too, for everybody, it's difficult. I'm not going to lie. It is so difficult. It gets, so you have to start over. It's a starting over thing. And we get lost in that, don't we? Well, that's because we have more quit, unfortunately, than grit. And grit says, let's go back. Let's do it again. Let's give it another stab. Quit says, I'm exhausted. Are you kidding me? Get out of my face. Quit is the outer game. Grit is the inner game. So what do we need to do? I'm going to tell you some things, and I've said some of these things before, but I want you to take them differently this time, okay? Take it differently this time. Number one, stop trying and start scheduling instead. We have a tendency to not believe the things that we say to ourselves because we've broken our words so many times to ourselves. Does that hurt? Hurts because it's true. If we're going to be women of integrity, we hold fast to our word to others and to ourselves. So if you say I'm gonna, then it's time. Then I'm gonna needs to translate into your schedule and into your timesheet. This is a good time to time block, by the way, and make a date with yourself and handle it like an appointment. And you show up no matter what. Number two is to let go of judgments and just let it happen. Think about this for a minute. And how many times, I can't even tell you how many times I've done this, but what I will do is I'll start judging myself. Well, you don't quite have it enough, and you need to lift heavier, or you need to be doing, and I've given myself this whole ration of judgments instead of just saying, stop all of that. Let's just get in there and get it done. It's that busy conversation that we have in our heads that holds us back. Number three is relaxed concentration. I love this one so much. I can tell you the difference between a day where I start with meditation and a day that I don't. If I start with meditation, I have relaxed concentration. I can get in and get it out and get it done. If I don't, my mind starts going crazy and all over the place, and there is no getting centered. Getting centered helps you tap into this connection that you're trying to make with your head and your heart and your do. Big difference. And we all need this. This is a good starting place, because otherwise we're starting in the middle of the track instead of at the starting blocks. That's what meditation helps you do. It helps you equip yourself to be ready to do. Number four is trusting yourself to do it imperfectly. Because imperfect is excellent. Imperfect is effort. Imperfect makes things happen. You can always go back and clean up. I always say when I was doing a lot of home, renovations and stuff like this way back, and it seems like another life, but I felt like I was constantly painting. And what I finally got to the place of doing was I just wanted to get the room painted and get it done. And I recognized that I could always go back and touch things up. I could always go back and make it, more perfect. I could always go back and just knock out all the walls and come back and do the trim work later. It doesn't have to all be done at one time and be perfect. Imperfect equals something being done And that is excellent. And if we could just say, you know what, just a little bit is something, and a little bit is imperfect, sure, but a little bit is excellent, and it has me well on my way. And number 5 is we need to learn from the past, visualize the future, and hold on to it loosely. I shared with you this whole thing of having, a vision board, and I hope you've made your vision board. But vision boards are great because they help to encapsulate these notions and these ideas and these things that you want to feel about yourself or want to have in your life. And I shared with you about on my vision board, the vision that I had 2018 for my little house on the water. And it was it was great. But my house on the water looks nothing like what's on my vision board. And that is because I learned from my newly found habit of trying to visualize what I wanted. And all I knew was that there was water there. All I knew there was a dock, and behind that dock was a house, and I had no idea what any of it looked like. And I didn't need to. What I needed to do was learn from the past, and instead of thinking, why don't I have this? Why is this so sad? Why is it so hard for me? It is this, that, and the other thing. And instead, focus my energy on the thing that I wanted instead of what I didn't have. And then the next thing was to visualize what it could be and the future, and have an idea of the whole thing, but hold it loosely in my hand and let God direct this whole thing. Because remember, we're going for the director's cut, not the whole long version. We want the good stuff. And that's what we do when we kind of lay some of this stuff down. We allow for the way that God comes in, delighting us with his ideas and his contribution to what your inner game should be. So I mention all of this too, and because I feel like our inner game is something we just don't think about enough, or we think about too much on one hand too. And we don't identify what the inner game is all about. The inner game is what gives us success in life and helps us to say here at the very end of our lives, well done, my good and faithful servant. I believe that with all of my heart. Otherwise, we're struggling. And struggling does not equip us with a well-lived life. Struggling just keeps us in that same loop and that same circle. So if we can find ourselves to this place of understanding we have an outer game, that's set. For most of us, we've got an outer game. We've got our tools, we've got our ideas, we've got things that we need in order to do it. The next level is the inner game. And that's exactly what we're doing with Inner Circle, by the way. That is all about the inner game and creating the success that we want in our lives. It's leaving stuff behind that no longer serves. And with a bunch of women who are all on the same page, is to be the rising tide and to lift all the boats and to become exactly who it is that we are called on purpose and for purpose to be. So that's something I want you to just take a look at and see if this is for you. That's at savingdinner.com/circle. And in the meantime, isn't it time to get on top of your inner game? Are you ready for that? Are you ready to become the woman that you've been called to become? I know you are. And this is how it's going to start. I hope an Inner Circle. Check it out at savingdinner.com/circle. And start next Tuesday. I hope you're a part of that whole thing. Peace be with you. Thanks for joining me today. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thanks for watching. Check back for new episodes. If you missed the live show, you can always watch the replay. You can find Saving Dinner on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. Until next time, pinkies up.